Fast forward, you come out channel social, so I'm saying, Haxi, a GH Politics Avenue. On your podcast, I was trying to make this big headlines. And a jumbre, not EDB Exum, and EDB on Block Simus, and EDD can you best say which one subscribe to the channel. Hit notification bell and so share. Now, a forefront so answer into me and KB. You make sure when you can say what you may answer the amame. You will leave a comment constructively under the comment section. Now, young political highways in him. Ija dema oni enya asem koto akra eno na yabo no beda yetu bi ede amane maybe will be a wanting fidi so na shano so am say after say a Supreme Court of Ghana itimi ewuli a Kpandai election rerun no ema a NPP amayiko no say owura Matthew Nyandam onkofa a na kunya entrance bi o parliament ema a Kpandai community no onua owura a Rashid Tanko Computer, our acting director of elections, any IT, Emma NDC, our sign a CEO of Givex, or to me about one thing, I make exposes beer, and no any item ready be exum. Now the working in say, or more to me as cited a year dream DB between a year MPP and electoral commissioner. Unia, what am now obeying chim. Mr. say in Semre Yankum. Na yenhwe yeko enedieba nyame shop say wajemre ewo ha yemura insemini.
Well, let's stay further a bit on this particular development in the Kpandai constituency, because it's one that really many were watching how things will play out, especially with the verdict of the Supreme Court, which we now do know, but the full details or the verdict of the Supreme Court would also be made known in a little over a week's time. So we have the full complement of the reasoning of the justices of the Supreme Court who delivered their verdict earlier today. But Rashid Tanko Computer, whom you heard one of the constituents mention his name in that video we just played to you, he is the acting director of elections and IT for the NDC and CEO for GIFEC. He's joining us on Zoom. Mr. Tanko, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred. Let me say good evening to you and the good people of Ghana. Good evening to everybody, and good evening to the good people of Kpandai.
I see. Well, we would also be live in the constituency this evening. Christopher Marco is going to be joining us just to gauge the mood in the constituency. We understand there's been jubilation all throughout, but that the jubilation is not one that you, Rashid Tanko Computer, is going to be happy about, is it not? Because the court did not favor your cause today.
Alfred, it's early days yet for them to jubilate.
Why?
These are the things they do. I always tell them, MPP, they are not learning from their past mistakes. It's early days for them to jubilate. Look, Alfred, we respect the decision of the Supreme Court. In fact, it's the apex court of the land. We respect them. We respect the law laws, their decision today, but we totally disagree with the ruling. We disagree with the ruling completely. And we are waiting for the reasoning, which will be filed on the 6th of February. Now, when we get hold of the reasoning, the ruling itself, on the 6th, we'll get our lawyers to peruse it. And our next line of action will be spelled out. As we speak now, we have other ideas under our sleeves. Did you know that we cited them for fraud, Electoral Commission and NPP, in our affidavit, in opposition to what they filed at the Supreme Court? And during the presentation, the last 2 weeks, when we were in Supreme Court, the panel member, the president of the panel, did ask Gary Nima, who is the lead counsel for the applicant, that why is it that he did not address the court about the fraud issue that the first interested party, which is NDC, raised. And his response was that it was a genuine mistake. It couldn't have been a genuine mistake. This was false representation. And look, fraud vitiated everything.
I see.
And that is what they did. And then so there is another leg of the matter which they don't know.
Okay,
which
so
that
leg of the matter which you just mentioned, is it a substantive matter in court? Is it a matter being pursued legally, or it came up during the hearing of this particular case which the court has ruled on today?
It came, in fact, it was part of our affidavit. When we were responding to their application, we raised issue of fraud against Electoral Commission and the NPP. Interestingly enough, they shy away from responding to that during their presentation. And it was presented to them. And their response was that it was a genuine mistake. And we're saying that it couldn't have been a genuine mistake. And we're saying that, fine, that is why we are waiting for the 6th February reasoning, so that we get to understand what went into the ruling. Because what the people did, in fact, they committed fraud.
Anyway, because you said this is a matter that you intend to pursue in the court of law, the element of fraud is one that you're going to have to prove in court, okay? So that, let's wait to see how the coming days will look like on it. Because you say this is a substantive matter you want to pursue. So we just want to leave the verdict of that in court. Okay, of the matter
that we are going to look at.
Okay,
because
great.
We are not going to leave the matter hanging this way.
Right.
Otherwise, Alfred, there's something I needed to make very clear. We're all in Tamale High Court, and the ruling of the Tamale High Court is now a public document. Although the ruling has been quashed using technical means, the reasoning of the ruling is very clear, where the trial judge indicated that there was a polling station. In fact, two of them. One, the NPP got 1,400 votes. The other one, they got 1,200. How come? The highest number of registered voters in Ghana currently for a polling station is 750. So clearly, Martin Nyindam, 3,000 they are talking of. He got 2,000 alone from two polling stations.
I see. So that's
this is what we are talking of.
It is that assertion that
availing their mind to that.
Yes, it is that assertion that the gentleman we just played the video was referencing that you said. But the minority spokesperson on legal matters, Honorable John Darko, also had this to say about your decision to seek a review. He says, well, you've lost, so just accept it and go. But take a listen to him. I'll seek your response, okay? But this is John Darko.
It wasn't so much about the decision of the court, okay? It was about the fact that the court had no jurisdiction in the first place. And if you don't have jurisdiction in law, you cannot do anything. You cannot build something on nothing. It will not stand. And so that is what happened. And look, we raised this issue. And so we were surprised that our brothers in the NDC, some of them are lawyers and they understand this basic point, but they still feel that we were wrong. But we've been vindicated on this. In spite of all the valid reasons we were advancing, they still felt that they had to push Nyindam out and declare him persona non grata. What they don't understand, that review is not as of right. And so when you go for a review, you don't have to assume that the matter will even be taken up. You need to show some fundamental injustice which has been done to you. Okay, I shudder to think that they'll be able to cross that. What was that indecent haste for? And here we are. Imagine that the court, the Supreme Court, hadn't held the whole process. Would have had an election to elect somebody, spend money, and possibly people will be hurt in that process. And the Supreme Court will overturn the whole process. So there was no need for that rush to, declare the seat vacant. They were completely wrong. Protests.
I see. So that's John Darko there. He references some of the things that you talked about, Mr. Tanko, that there was really no need for you to have even gone on this path in the first place. Not to talk about considering a review after taking hold of the full complement of the reasoning of the Supreme Court on this matter today.
I totally disagree. I disagree with his position. And that has been their problem. Look, that is why we are citing that we are going to make sure that people will be very hot. Some people are going to be very hot in the days coming. Look, do you know that this 6th January gazetting that we are talking was brought to court by the NPP? Nyindam, Honorable Nyindam and his lawyers brought that in. Let's go and look at their affidavit when they filed their affidavit at the Tamale High Court, praying the court to dismiss our application that we filed on 23rd December 2024. What did they say there? They said we had filed when there was no gazette. And they brought a gazette in order to justify that application. Paragraph 8 of that the affidavit stated explicitly, pointing to the 6th January 2025 gazette, which included Kpandai. They brought it in there. And then so based on that we withdrew that earlier one we filed. And then at case management, Electoral Commission, that is why we are saying that both Electoral Commission and NPP are appearing to be one party now. Didn't see anything wrong with that because the Electoral Commission saw the safe document at the case management side and didn't say anything. They were quiet. So it's like both of them knew what they were doing and play along with us for more than 11, in fact, almost 11 months in court until the ruling came. So if you don't describe these people as fraudulent people, how will you describe them?
Well, but you see,
and that is why we are saying that fraud vitiates everything.
That's why I said that this element of fraud that you're talking about is one that you want to seek it proven or otherwise in the court of law. So until that is done, you wouldn't want to go ahead of yourself to be calling them fraudulent people. That's what I meant. But stay with me. Stay with me. Zango, stay with me, because you know what? We'll hear from the minority, because there's a statement that has been issued. They are asking that all administrative processes around all of this should be, in their view, halted. So I'll have you respond to that in the final point, and then we'll move on this. But Christopher Mwako is connecting with us right now. Christopher has been to the conference this evening. And Chris, thank you for joining us. What are the constituents telling you? It's been a whole night of celebration for you with the residents observing them, is it not?
Yes, Alfred, exactly. So it's been exciting for the supporters of Matthew Nyindam. Immediately the verdict was brought out. The people within the Kpandai community began their jubilation, especially those who support Matthew Nyindam and the NPP. The principal streets were flooded with people of the NPP and his supporters. This evening, the celebration has taken another trend, because Kpandai is a place that when it's 9:30, people are already indoors and not coming out. But it does appear that today is a different day for the people of Kpandai. The community, a lot of people are still sitting outside, jubilating and also talking about the ruling today. And so it's been excitement for some of the constituents. Of course, those the ruling went to their favor, but the other side, those who did not get the ruling in their favor, are saying that, well, once the peace of Kpandai has been maintained, they are happy. After all, they are in their second year, and in the next 2 years, they'll be going to polls again to elect their member of parliament. And so they embattled a former member of parliament, that is the NDC parliamentary candidate for the 2024 elections, Daniel Nsala Wakpao, should calm down, wait till December 2028 so that he will go again and try his luck. That is if the delegates within his party give him the opportunity. And so it's been peaceful, it's been exciting for those who had victory today, and life moves on in the Kpandai.
To the second gazette, because that will determine in a lot of ways whether those relying on that second gazette to be called members of parliament are indeed validly elected to be members of parliament of our parliament today. But having said that, I think that the consistency of the Supreme Court, which deserves of our commendation, also calls into question the continuous denigration of our court whenever we lose matters, particularly at the APS court. We call them all kinds of names. I think this Supreme Court has shown within a year how not only could, it has shown the consistency with which they can deliver quality decisions, but they have also shown that it's a completely new departure from the previous Supreme Court that we've known. I mean, for the last 8 years that we were in this country, we saw a particular Supreme Court, which is completely different from the current one. And so I think whilst commending them, we also need to advise ourselves that we need to show some level of candor when we lose matters at the apex court. The era of continuously denigrating the Supreme Court, I think, should be over, because we couldn't have had this at any better time. And so this is the if you want to call it caution that I throw to all of us, particularly as legal practitioners, that we tend to denigrate these, the only courts that should serve as a good backbone for all of us whenever they make unfavorable decisions against us, and tend to commend them when the decision go in our favor. But I think we should show that level of sportsmanship, that level of candor to accept defeat, and also commend them even where we disagree, and do as the NDC is attempted to do, go for a review if need be. And possibly the review may come up with something that might not necessarily resolve issues that we are dealing with, but would change the roadmap going forward in our constitutional democracy.
I thank you very much, Justice Abdullahi, for your thoughts on this. And also, thank you, Christopher Marco, for bringing us how the night looks like in Kpandai. And briefly, before I let you go, Mr. Tanko, this is what the minority in Parliament is saying. They issued a statement, a number of things they talk about, that this is a landmark ruling that has indeed restored the status quo in the Kpandai constituency. They say that they are making an immediate call to action, an immediate and formal withdrawal of any residual notification or administrative acts suggesting that the Kpandai seat is vacant, so that the records of Parliament and of the Electoral Commission accurately reflect the Supreme Court's decision and the continuing mandate of Honorable Nyendam. They also want a thorough internal review within Parliament under the leadership of Right Honorable Speaker Alban Sumana Kingsford Badwin, to ensure that in future no notification of vacancy is issued while appeals and applications for stay are pending, unless a final court expressly directs otherwise. And then also a recommitment by all sides of the House to the long-standing parliamentary practice illustrated by the Abodakwi, Sakande, Nyimakan, and Kwasin experiences of respecting the hierarchy of courts and awaiting final judicial determination before taking steps that permanently affect representation and the composition of the House. These are some of the demands that the minority is making. So that's their call to action. Your way forward is a review, right? And a quick one on their call to action that they are making. Quickly.
Hypocrisy of this minority is legendary. Just 4 days ago, they held a press conference and ran down the Supreme Court. They called the Chief Justice all manner of names. In fact, I can't even mention some of the terms they use against the Chief Justice and the justices of the Supreme Court. Today, look at what they are writing. The hypocrisy of them is just legendary. And this statement should be thrown out. It should it should be thrown away.
I have just read it.
And that's why I'm saying that is hypocrisy, total hypocrisy on their part. You just saw their press conference recently. The kind of statement they made against the Chief Justice who empaneled these judges who rule in their favor today. You see, NDC, we are magnanimous in defeat.
So you are seeking a review?
Because we will go through the process. We will not attack the judges. No.
All right.
It is not in our DNA. NDC will not do that. That's why we respected whatever came out today. We respected the decision, but we only referred to the decision and said, look, we disagree with the ruling, but we want to see the reasoning. And then we'll take our next line of action on it.
February 6th.
We respect them a lot. We will not behave like the minority. NPP, look, they're attacking the Tamale judge, attacking the Supreme Court, left and right. Now today they got a ruling, and look at what they've gone to put on paper.
February 6th is a date to watch. Is a date to watch. February 6th. So we'll come and then find out if you are concrete about the review or not. Okay. So that's the date. Thank you.
We'll be standing by.
Rashid Tanko Computer is acting director.
We in Samahuro Timoko channel so. Mami and I was so jimbre ohara. The Senate so body no. Edia dumbi edomini. Yen sen shemwe.